All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack a case that has absolutely gripped the headlines and, frankly, completely baffled investigators. We're diving into the deeply tragic and honestly highly complex mystery surrounding the death of Twisha Sharma. Now, this is a story that starts with a really shocking discovery in a quiet, affluent neighborhood. But as we start peeling back the layers using the latest reporting, you'll see it quickly spirals into this labyrinth of unanswered questions, high-profile connections, and some pretty alarming investigative anomalies. So, if you want to understand how a seemingly straightforward case becomes a massive national focal point, you are definitely in the right place. Let's get started. To really wrap our heads around this case, we have to start by asking, what exactly happened in Katara Hills? I mean, put yourselves in the shoes of the first responders pulling up to this marital residence. This isn't just your average home, you know? It's a prominent household in a very well-known area. The entire central mystery literally drops us right here, right at the exact moment of discovery. The initial scene seemed to present one straightforward narrative. But man, the subsequent days would unleash an absolute storm of controversy that is still unfolding as we speak.
Section 1. The Bhopal Mystery.
So, according to reports from earlier this month, Twisha Sharma was found dead, discovered hanging at her marital home. This residence is tucked away in the Bagh Mughaliya extension of Katara Hills over in Bhopal. At first glance, local authorities walked into what seemed like a grim, yet sadly all too common type of scene. But the specific context of this home and the people connected to it, well, that immediately elevated the stakes way beyond your routine police work.
Now, here's where the dynamic gets super interesting. We aren't just looking at a standard run-of-the-mill incident report here. We are looking at a case heavily weighted by some very high-profile connections. Twisha Sharma was actually the daughter-in-law of retired Judge Jirabala Singh. And, well, you can imagine when you have a tragedy hitting the family of a former member of the judiciary, the public and the press naturally whip out a magnifying glass and scrutinize every single detail. That marital connection alone adds just immense pressure to the case, ensuring that every single move the authorities make is being watched. It's like a giant puzzle where everyone is watching the police try to put the pieces together.
Section 2. A corporate star. We really need to talk about who Twisha Sharma was, because she wasn't just a headline or a random name in a police file. She was a literal corporate star with an incredibly vibrant, diverse background. We're talking about a former Miss Pune title holder, an active actor, a model, a digital creator, and an MBA graduate. That's the whole shebang. A multi-talented, highly educated, and fiercely ambitious young woman. And it's this incredibly sharp contrast between her dynamic, super successful public life and that sudden, tragic end in Katara Hills that has really fueled the public shock.
Section 3. Suspicions and claims.
Okay, so let's walk through the timeline right after the discovery, because this is crucial. The body is found, and then the days just start ticking by. 1 day, 2 days, until a full 6 days had passed. And then, a detail dropped that completely shattered the initial narrative. Reports confirmed that even 6 days later, Twisha's family outright refused to claim her body from the authorities. No way, right? In any investigation, a family refusing to claim a loved one's remains is a massive glowing red flag. It is a profound statement of doubt. It's basically a protest, telling the world that they completely reject the preliminary findings and the police's handling of the whole situation. And that brings us to the core conflict of this whole explainer. On one side, you have the initial assumption based on the scene, a suspected suicide, given she was found hanging. But on the flip side, you have this stark, unyielding reaction from her family. They are absolutely not buying the suicide theory. Instead, they have explicitly stated a strong suspicion of murder. Now, we're impartially reporting the sources here, and what those sources show is a massive fracture between how the scene initially looked to cops and what the victim's very own family believes actually went down.
And, as if that divide between suicide and murder wasn't tangled enough, the narrative has taken another really dark turn recently. Newly emerged drug claims have now entered the public reporting. The exact specifics of these claims are still being probed, but honestly, just their mere introduction adds this incredibly messy new layer to the Bhopal mystery. It spread like wildfire in the press and has completely complicated the scope of the entire investigation.
Moving into Section 4, red flags in the investigation.
When we really zoom in on the specific red flags that the press is highlighting, a pretty troubling pattern starts to emerge. First off, there's the nylon belt allegedly used for the hanging. Its actual usage and presence are now being heavily questioned. And even more alarming by that, there are serious reported mix-ups in the police FIR itself. Now, the FIR, the First Information Report, is literally the bedrock of any criminal investigation in India. And the foundational paperwork has serious mix-ups from day one, Well, it throws the integrity of the entire probe into question, doesn't it?
There's a quote directly from the reporting that hits the nail on the head regarding this granular issue. It notes that questions relating to the investigation concern a belt she allegedly used to hang herself. It's a very specific physical detail that has fallen under the scanner. Actually, scratch that, it's more like a glaring spotlight at this point. Why exactly is this belt being questioned? What do the physical forensics show versus what was scribbled down in that flawed FIR? These are the precise discrepancies giving so much weight to the family's absolute refusal to accept the initial police story. So, what does this all mean? That's the crucial question I want to leave you with today. What do the FIR mix-ups, the totally unverified drug claims, and a family's deepening murder suspicions mean for the ultimate pursuit of justice for Twisha Sharma? We've got a former Miss Pune, a brilliant MBA graduate, dead in a high-profile household, an investigation that seems to be actively struggling against its own reported errors. The case remains wide open, and the search for the absolute truth in Katara Hills continues. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the details, and I'll catch you next time.